Hi, my name is Priscilla and I'm from Switzerland. On my YouTube channel, I interview chronically ill people who have cured themselves. In addition, I get to interview doctors, scientists and health experts who are ahead of their time. Together we show that healing is possible. Today I am privileged to have a great role model of mine on the interview couch. She is a scientist, mother, artist, visionary. She's a woman of heart and mind, Dr. Christina Rahm. Half a year ago, my son and I started using clean slate detox drops, and detox journey began for us on a cellular level. For a long time, I had hoped that what we had been experiencing as a family over the past few months on a detox level was possible. And yes, my hope came true. I had the pleasure of inviting the developer of the clean slate drops, Dr. Christina Rahm, to talk with me. She is a psychologist, scientist, biotechnologist and mother of 4 children. I was finally able to get some questions off my chest. So let's talk about your process. I love your story. But I have to read it because it's so much, you did so much in your life. You have a master's and doctoral degrees in rehabilitation counseling, psychology, strategic sciences, and you also completed postdoctoral studies at Harvard University in life sciences and nanobiotechnology, and received certificates in nutrition and pharmaceutical management. You've held positions as Chief Executive Officer for Medical and Clinical Science, spokesperson and lab formulator for companies like Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Janssen, and many more. But, and that's so beautiful, what also stands out is your personal experience as a cancer and Lyme disease survivor, which left you facing life and death decisions while pregnant with your twins. Although you were shaped differently by medicine, you had chosen a different path than doctors suggested. You took your health into your own hands instead of going the traditional way of treatment. I told you about this community I have, and that's the story of the people who are watching now. Would you say that your cancer and Lyme disease led you to develop a new way of treatment and was a turning point of your work?
Yes, I think definitely it was my personal experience, not just with me, but with my own children. Yeah. And realizing that there's a different way and understanding that somebody needs to stand up, and that's not always easy. I think even when you ask me, it makes me almost cry because I'm very thankful looking at my younger, self that I still was strong enough to choose the path that was my journey to health and wellness, rather than just keep putting things inside my body that would ultimately, I think, would have resulted in me not being here right now. Yeah.
Yes, and I really see that. I was reading your book, and it's so emotional. Your way is so emotional, and yes, I think when you decided to study medicine, your heart was like, okay, I want to help people. I want to I want to be that there are people who can heal themselves. And then you ended up in the big pharma industry.
Mm-hmm. I did, and went up in that industry.
You ended up.
Yeah.
And you worked for the big pharma, and Pfizer has had to pay hefty fines several times. And we know about several heavy side effects from the youngest jab. Now we have a lot of people in our community who have these side effects. And I think when I see your story, I think there was some point that you realized, okay, that what I learned was to treating the symptoms, but not the cause. And you wrote this book, Cure the Causes. When was the turning point from you when you saw, okay, this work I do here in the pharma industry will not heal the people in the causes? It's not that they get they really see what the strength is in their lives. It's not, I give you something and then you are healed. It's like, what is in my body, who I am. Yeah. What was the turning point in your history?
There were a couple of turning points. I think one was when was diagnosed with a prolactinoma brain tumor after I had my son, my oldest, which one didn't make it, and then my son did. And then I had this place above my eye that was cancer. And at one point they said they were going to have to maybe take my eye out. And I personally was not working with the pharmaceutical companies yet. And I just, but I was in research because of school. So I researched, how can I do this so hopefully I can get better? And I chose, unfortunately at the time I chose to do what's called a mole surgery, which is they did this zigzag. It looked actually horrible. You can't hardly see it now because I did a lot of natural things to my skin. But they did a mole surgery because they told me I didn't have an option, but then it was still there. The cancer was still there. And so, and I actually don't think I've talked about this publicly, but I was very upset. And so I did my own formulas for the prolactinoma brain tumor and this cancer that was above my eye. And I did spirulina, chlorella, wheatgrass, barley. I would do these shakes that I would make morning, noon, and night. I became a vegan, really focused my energy. Like I started reading about how you can heal yourself if you know you can heal yourself. So without telling anyone, because I felt like people would make fun of me, and it was my journey. To me, I've always been, I guess, stubborn. I've always been, there's certain things I've always just felt I knew. Even when people tell me that's not how it is, I felt like I knew. And so I did this self-healing journey, and it worked. I mean, it worked. They went in to do the surgery on the brain tumor. They were going to go through my nose and do a laser surgery because my growth hormone levels, this was so funny. The only good thing about all of that, my growth hormone levels at the age of 25 and 26 were that of a 17, 18-year-old because it was the prolactinoma was producing all these extra hormones. And but it was gone. They couldn't find it. And so I was like, wow. And then I ended up working for the pharmaceutical companies. I did a talk on women and depression. That's how I actually ended up working at and because they were launching and a bunch of other stuff. But many years later, I was in a position where I was on stage training doctors and oncologists and hematologists. And I was told to say some things that I thought, well, I actually told the CEO that's not true. I can't say that. And I was told I had to say it.
Oh, wow.
And I was it hit me. I can't do this. Like, I can't do this. This is not right. I have had cancer. I've had a child with cancer. I can't do this. And so I took a leap of faith and left and became a CEO. And basically, I was a CEO of a healthcare company where the same thing happened. I stood up and said, there's too many surgeries that are not documented on the spine and the brain, and I wouldn't do these surgeries on my dog, so why are we doing these to human beings?
Oh, wow.
And I was immediately attacked by, big industry, medical device industry. And it's actually followed me through my career. I just haven't stopped because I'm criticized. People don't realize that probably, but for standing up to.
I imagine that you were criticized.
This girl stood up. Like, what do you mean? Who is she? And then, I told you earlier, my education was attacked. It was so funny because I'm like, wait a minute. These men that were my supervisors did not go to school this whole time like I did. I had multiple degrees from multiple places. And in my mind, I honestly thought, okay, if you don't like that degree, pick another one. Because I stayed in school because I kept hearing this inner voice of, in order for you to make a difference, you've got to pursue the traditional and non-traditional path. And what a lot of people don't know is the whole time I was in school, I also did a lot of other classes that were not based on formal education because I felt like formal education was great and I needed it to be able to help people self-heal and to be able to have a voice that people would listen to. Knowing that women a lot of times are attacked when they stand up and for things, and even men. Yeah. I wanted to have that, but I also pursued multiple courses all over the world that had to do with Reiki healing and just different things on hand healing, energy healing. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, here in Europe we have such a sad story about women in the medicine field. They were claimed as witches and they were burned, thousands of them.
Yeah.
Thousands of them.
I'm very familiar because I started, when this started happening to me, I started looking into, even in the United States, in Salem and many places, if women healed or helped, they were killed.
Yes, they were killed.
Yeah.
And now they were silenced. So thank you for standing up and go your way. It's so important.
It's important to each of us. And so my hope is, and this truly happened. You asked what the changing points were. Those were the changing points, were my personal health and then my conscience saying at one point, Christina, you're on too much of this path. You need to stand up by yourself. And it's been hard. I have to be honest, it's lonely unless you have a community, which is why your community is so important, because you have to have people around you that will support what you're doing. And then I say this a lot, you know, women in life we're different, you know, as far as women and men, we're the same, but we're different. You know, we all share the same DNA, but we've got to, all people have got to stand up for who they are and what their purpose is and what their mission is. And unfortunately, we have a hard time sometimes supporting others in that. And I hope that by me standing up, by you standing up, that we're able to give that support so more people can, because you've got to have people really understand that they each have a mission.
Yes.
And if they don't do their mission, no one's going to.
Yes. Yes. We are all connected. So
yes. So we've got to know that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That way we don't feel jealous. That way there's not an ego and narcissism, because we realize, oh wait, we're all together. This is not, I'm responsible too for everyone else. This is not me that did this. This is all of us. And I wish we could get there, you know, as a society, as an entity, we're all just energy, you know, we're spirits, but we're all here together to share that energy and empower each other. And I think that's probably the biggest message that we've got to get across, so that instead of living in fear, instead of worrying, that you have confidence in yourself and in others, right? Yeah. Because to be able to stand up, you still have to have confidence that those around you are going to support you, because I think we need that energy. Yeah.
Step out of the fear.
Yes. Because there's a lot of it. And
it's too much.
Way too much. Way too much.
Way too much. It was maybe 1 month I used Clean Slate, and I was in my apartment, and then I look in the mirror and it was like, hey Priscilla, welcome back. I looked in my eyes and it came out of me. I said it to myself, Priscilla, welcome back. And it was like my soul finally came here and said, okay, now I am confident. Now my energy frequency is high. Why is this? Why?
Because when I made that product, which has been the most controversial product I've made, it was years ago. I met Clayton, and I was working on a project with. I was meeting with the NBA and the NFL, and actually, this is very interesting. The Germany Innovation Research Center, the embassy in New York, they were bringing scientists over to Germany. So I was in New York for a meeting, and I met a guy named John Sally. He was an NBA basketball player, but I also had a meeting with the German embassy, which is interesting because I'm here in Germany today. Yeah. And John wanted me to meet this guy named Clayton Thomas. John actually asked me to work on a project for a bunch of famous athletes because they were having issues or either their brain from head injuries,
Oh,
or their legs or their arms because they'd played sports for so long, and he wanted something that would heal. And he said, have you ever heard of a zeolite? And I said, yes. And he said, could you go into a lab and create a formula that could help with that? Because he asked me what I knew about zeolites, and I told him that it could help really clean out water, could clean air, could clean land, and could clean the human body if you make it the right way. He ended up introducing me to Clayton through a long process, and I actually made a formula that's like Clean Slate, but I made like 17 different formulas. And I actually even wrote patents, but someone else took my patents. It was just this long, thing. And so rather than me being angry that someone took my patents, rather than me being angry that I think people sold my product under different labels without me knowing, I decided to not be angry. I decided this is my gift.
Wow.
And
this is so important for your energy.
It was very important for my energy. I went back into the lab, and I literally, I prayed, I meditated, I used a lot of light, polarization magnets, just energy levels, because nanotechnology, which is one of the things I've studied, if you do things naturally with nanotechnology, you can produce these amazing things. You can also produce horrible things.
Yeah, that's what it's like, so nanotechnology,
yes.
The new chap.
It could even produce horrible, like GMOs, nuclear waste. One of my reasons I focused so much on that was because if you're going to fight something that has been developed that is killing people or hurting people or harming the body, you have to understand it. It's like if the biggest way to beat an enemy or something that's hurting you is to understand it, right? So I knew that. And so I really threw myself into understanding every area of the bioscience, engineering, nanotechnology that was important to me so I could fix things and provide solutions. So I had this dream about, how old was I? 26? That there was going to be this horrible war on people's health, and it was going to be all over the world. And it's interesting, we went to this healing group. They were a religious group, and they had a prophecy over me. They called me, they said my name was Esther, and they said there's going to be, and I had already had this dream, so this was very interesting. They said there's going to be a war on people's bodies, and you're going to help provide solutions. So I know this is really deep, and I have not gotten into this in an interview, but it was so much.
But that is so important.
It was so important.
The words were spoken.
They were spoken, and I had the dream. So I've always had dreams since I have been little. In fact, every formula I've made has been a dream. So I had started having these dreams, and actually, when the group told me what was going to happen, I didn't like it, because I was like, what? No, this isn't going to happen. But I'd had the dream. So I thought, something's going to happen. And when I worked on Clean Slate, in my mind, my goal was to help clean the body. And I coupled what I had known from the dreams and what someone had told me I was going to do with the fact that in the pharmaceutical biotech industry, I had always been told repetitively we would have biological warfare. Knowing that we can create and produce what we call retro or antiviruses or vaccines. It's one of the things that we work on. Knowing that if you get that in the wrong hands, or because I don't believe all the pharmaceutical companies at all tried to like kill everyone. No. I don't think that. No, and every time someone tries to say that I said that, I'm like, no, I don't think that. I think, unfortunately, it takes one bad person. Yes. And especially if you have power and money and greed, they can hurt people. Grief. Yeah. Grief. Yeah.
That's the beginning.
It's the beginning. And so
the bad vibes,
Yeah. So I wanted this formula, so I've never actually made money off Clean Slate or any formula like that. There are formulas I've made, obviously, that I license. And it is one of them that I license to Root, but at this point, I've chosen not to take any royalties from Root. Because my goal was to give back. And if I ever do, I will use that money to give back more. But I don't think people even believe I did that, because now Clayton knows I did that. Ted Baker, for example, knows at the company. My family may know, but you don't you don't give something and have to tell everyone you gave it. You should give because it's part of the world. Like, I don't really literally don't own the formulas. You know what I mean? Like, I made them.
Yeah.
And I'll never
and
lie
you
and
dreamed.
say, yeah, I
it's
dreamed.
like
Yeah.
the knowledge you become. It's
Yeah.
like a gift that goes through you.
In the lab, I understand when I work on a product, just like I understand right now talking to you, that the mind, body, spirit, and soul are all connected. We're all just energy. Like, we could get rid of these bodies and we're energy. We know now that when someone dies, their energy is still in the room after they die. We've proven this now.
Yeah.
And so I wanted, when I made that formula, to not just clean the human body, but the spirit and the soul, because knowing that your pineal gland, knowing that we lose ourselves here.
Yes.
Like, I think we come here with this mission and purpose, and then we lose who we are. We have to go back to what we are supposed to do. When you're a child, you know that you can do things. You believe that you have this future.
Yeah. You know who you are.
You know who you are, and then you lose yourself. You can't. So my dream was, and my hope was to use to use this formula that we could help heal people. And so I think it's working. I changed the formula actually I was trying to think of what year, 2021, 21, because I wanted to embed trace minerals. Because another thing that happened was I kept having dreams that people were getting better and becoming who they were going to become, but I needed to help more with the healing and to support the body.
And that's the difference in Clean Slate.
Yeah.
How I think there must be so much research to know which vitamins you have to took in there.
Yeah.
How do you know that you take the best of the nature? What was your...
Well, part of that is I'm very fortunate because I've traveled to over 85 countries now. And it keeps growing because I keep going to different places. So I've been exposed to, I'll give you an example. When you go to Santorini, it's one of the, it had active volcanoes everywhere. So they have zeolites everywhere there. And they have different types of trace minerals there. The United States also has different areas where they have different types of trace minerals embedded into different areas. So I've researched a lot. I also test a lot. So
yeah, I think you have to test
a lot. So, for example, will test for GMOs in the different ingredients.
Okay.
But I also test for GMO tracing, DNA tracing, to make sure there's no even like DNA of the GMO in that current ingredient. So let's say I'm sourcing turmeric curcumin. I want to make sure that it's pure. With the Relive Greens, which is one of the formulas, not to get off the subject of Clean Slate, I made sure that there was no wheat, no allergens, I made sure with each individual ingredient. And then you have to keep going back and testing. And because the problem is, once you get it and you're making it, so I test before the products are made and then after the products are made. With Clean Slate, I got a stronger source than I had in the beginning.
Yes,
because the source,
so.
The source of the zeolite was so important because I wanted to take the silicon dioxide out. The reason is, and it's very confusing to people because people think that there's no zeolite in there.
And they are also afraid. I hear some frightening questions. It's like, why does just silicium dioxide is in it?
Because that can be dangerous. Yes.
Why is this healing me?
Yes.
Can you take us into the process of the...
Yeah. Silicon dioxide can be used, it can be used to make plastic. It can be used to make all kinds of things. So you have to be very careful. Zeolites are the same way. But when you look at the zeolite, it has everything from, there's oxygen and water and energy and almost everything. But the aluminum silicate and the silicon dioxide are elements within the zeolite that are part of the cages that actually trap things and help pull them apart and rip them apart naturally to go out of the body if you make it right. I used an energetic process where magnets and polarization were used to pull out the clean part of the silicon dioxide. Because if you look at, even if you looked at arsenic and fluoride. There are clean elements. And let me think of a way I can explain this to you. Let's say you have a child and they're disruptive and they're angry and they're loud. They still have within them most children, this very good, peaceful part, right? It's part of their personality. It doesn't mean the other part's not there. It means that that element is in there. When you use ingredients and you work on them, or at least me as a scientist, I get to know that ingredient very well. The molecules, the natural isotopes inside, everything, the elements that it exist. I understood that in a zeolite is a very natural thing, which is a silica, if you can make sure that you're taking all of the heavy metals out of it, because they're even within a zeolite, if you actually want to know.
The aluminium.
Yeah, and I'm very careful how I talk about this, because if people hear me say it, they could clip it and say, "No, she." I know what So I purify it.
Yeah,
by using.
But they are using deodorants there.
I know, and the toothpaste, and no, I was very careful. Like again, not to use relive grains as an example. Typically, if you did relive grains, if you have wheat allergies, you'd have to worry about it, right? Because of the wheatgrass and the barley, but not with the one I made, because I did it before it sprouted. Yeah. So there's
relive grains is another product from you.
Which I really love, because it was one of the products I took when I had the cancer. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what that.
I like to drink it with cocos water.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I've done that before too.
Yeah.
So it's really good. I actually take 3 teaspoons a day. It says 1 because I have to be very careful because of all the guidelines. Because some countries you can't take a lot of chlorella or spirulina. Chlorella is one of the things that actually pulls out heavy metals, and so is spirulina. But
you can smoke and
you can do anything like that.
Yeah. You can drink.
You can take pain medicine. Yeah.
You can. Yeah. You can kill yourself.
Yeah, but
pain medicine. But don't take spirulina. Please.
Oh, don't take vitamin D.
Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness. Dangerous. I had the longest talk about vitamin D because I have vitamin D in a couple of the products. Yeah. And you actually, your body eliminates vitamin D if you don't need it. And most of us need a lot. But anyway, I don't want to get off this. You asked me about clean slate. And I know this is important to people because they worry about the...
So we have to talk about it, about the fears.
Yes, we have to talk about it. Yes. It can be horrible for your body if it's made in the wrong way. Yes. And that does not include the way I made it from a very pure form of the zeolite. The truth is, when you look at something and you take the different elements out, like you have a mind, you have a body, you have a soul, right? If you take the element out, which is the silicon dioxide, like I did at about 66, almost 67%, and you've pulled out any heavy metals and anything at all that could be bad for the body, right? And you've left the healing part of it, the good part of the personality, right, of that in, you can use that then to, I say I program things because I'm used to energetically working on things that will go in and do a certain purpose with the body, right? So my intention was programming this product to go in to heal not just the body, but the spirit and the soul. And I did that by extracting a pure form out, taking anything out that could harm the body in any way. And that took a lot of work.
I will say that it must be crazy work.
It was a lot of work. Yeah. And that's where I think...
But it's the important part.
It's the most important part. And that's why when people argue that we have the same formula, you know, I had a lot of anger. I had to get rid of it because... I had people that had worked on a zeolite or these competitive companies, which in my mind, I don't even look at things as competitive. I look at it, why are we competing? Like, why can't we all just do, and if my product doesn't work for someone or the one I worked on, then do another product. I never get upset about that. Like, that's why you'll never hear me talk bad about another company or try to hurt other companies or people, because that's just not my path, and I don't know why we do it. But for the product I have, I know no one has it because it took a lot of work, a lot of time, and then all these people around me were trying to steal it or say they owned it. And finally I had to just say, okay, world, here it is. Whoever's using my product, I hope it's helping. Yes. There are actual products out there right now, quite a few, that are my products that are being used. that are not clean slate, because I've changed that multiple times so that it's better for people. But I have to say, I hope it's whatever people are using, it's helping, because again, I don't believe we actually don't even own a house. Do you know what I mean? While we're here, we're living there.
It's a gift. It's just a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the minute we can accept that, the more we can be happy with our existence here, and we follow that path. But I do know this particular formula, my intention and what I did in the lab, which I know it sounds so odd. I did so many techniques to get there, but I also did a lot spiritually.
And that's what I feel, and also my community, where a lot of people who are trying your protocols, and one feedback who comes over and over again is like, there's a freedom in me.
Yeah.
There is energy. I know now who I am and what I want. Some people changes the job, or it's really, it's there, it's real, it's life.
Yes.
That's, for me, that's another level of healing, you know?
Yes. And I see people get angry about that, because all these people are feeling different. And I told you earlier, I don't want to develop a cult. I don't want to develop people. I want people to know they need to be the best they can be.
Yeah.
And if it works for them, other people need to let it work for other people. Like, why would someone get angry that your life has become better or my life has become better? I love what your community stands for, because if we can just focus on healing in our own path, then no one needs to be upset or jealous about someone else's path.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
The paths are so different, like we are different.
Yes.
So there's no judging. It's just, yes, go this way. Yeah, you take another way. Okay, good. Go for it, girl.
I go for it. But I do want your community to know that I really want them to take clean slate with water. We're having a lot of issues with water. We have for years. You know, our water, even the purest water we think is there, is contaminated because of what we've done to our environment, our earth. Yes. And one of the great things about clean slate is it actually purifies water. And I know there's all these things going around. I did an interview. Someone asked me about snake venom, and I said, well, nothing would surprise me at this point. Do you know what I mean? Because unfortunately,
me neither. Unfortunately,
our bodies have been attacked. But we need to be confident that we have the tools.
We have the tools.
Yeah,
yes.
We have the tools.
We have. Yeah.
So we need to use them the right way.
Yeah.
And I always say this, we're the most important body of water in our bodies, because we are composed of water and energy.
Yeah.
And so we've got to make sure we clean that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's such an important point.
It is, because if you're putting water into your body that's toxic, then it's so hard to self-heal. It really is. You've got to understand what's going on in there. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another question I had. I think the one who has questioned it is also stuck in fear, because we live in a world where it's so confusing. And the person said, yeah, but when Christina was in nanobiotechnology and the jab is also nano, how is the product? Is clean slate nano? Is it dangerous? What can you say to this?
I use nanotechnology in the process, and what I mean by that is this is not a liposome product. If you ask me, are there any liposomes in it? Possibly, because I use a process of polarization and magnets and fracking and different things that use it. But I did not use synthetics. And when you do typical nanotechnology, you're using natural and synthetic. But you can actually create what's called micro or nano emulsions without using any of these synthetics, and they are able to be more bioavailable. So I'm going to use this as an example. If you get an injection, an IV or an injection, most of that, you have nanotechnology, right? Human monoclonal antibodies, like what I worked with, nanotechnology. When you do a vaccine, you make them a vaccine in a host cell, either an E. coli host cell. So bacterial or fungal. So you can do E. coli. You can also have mammalian host cells. So, from a chicken egg, or like the current vaccines, a lot of them, caterpillar larvae, insect larvae. You use the larva or the egg. And then you also use different types of nanotechnology, so it's delivered into the system, so you're basically giving people a form of a virus. The thought process is, so then they won't get the other virus. That is my background. That is my focus. And one of the reasons I went back to school for 3 years was to understand even more so I could develop things. But no, in the process of making the Clean Slate and the other products, I did use technology in the delivery system so it's bioavailable, so it can go into the body and do what needs to get done. I did not add synthetics. I did not add, like when you create a nuclear bomb or GMOs, that's nanotechnology, but they added many synthetic things, right, to the process to genetically engineer. I did not do that in the process. I know that's kind of hard for people to understand, but I wanted to take the technology I understood that could kill people, and possibly was and is, and correct it without putting something else into the body that is destructive. And so everything that I create or that I've worked on, I use the purest form of the isotope, so the natural form. And then if I take out the elements, which is what I did with the Clean Slate, so that they stand alone, I basically took out the characteristics of it, right? I make sure that it is naturally going into the body to identify what needs to happen and then help the body. I assist the body in correcting it. So I know it's confusing to people. If I measured the Clean Slate, which I could, to see liposomes, which are nanotechnology, it would be all natural. So for example, if you have an orange and let's say you extract the orange juice and you did it in a certain way, you might be able to get a liposome out of it, which is a better delivery system naturally, right? So that's what I did with the product. I did not put in, like a lot of your zeolite products, they'll claim they're liposomes, or they'll claim, but they made them in a lab. They made the zeolite in a lab and made the liposome. Or they'll claim they're hydrolyzed or water soluble, which is one of the things I put in previous patents before I worked on it more. And then I realized while I was working on it, I did not feel like it was completely water soluble, completely hydrolyzed. I felt like it was more of a scientific microemulsion that's programmed to go in and really help the body. And scientifically, we would probably all argue about it. I'm not a chemist by education. I did of course study engineering because of nanotechnology, but I'm more of I really like to use natural healing processes. I've learned all the other, so I know the other.
Yes.
But it's just not what I want to do.
And I think that's so important for your work, that you know it. You know what went wrong. You saw it and you see it now. And so you can do the opposite.
Yes. I'm trying to create an IV with the form of the silicon dioxide, because if you leave a zeolite, a complete zeolite, without altering some things, a lot of countries it's a pharmaceutical product. So I do have a formula that is a form of the zeolite that's an IV that has not been launched, but it would have to be launched pharmaceutically. Even if I don't use any human monoclonal antibodies or larvae or anything not natural, if it goes through an IV in Europe, it would have to be a pharmaceutical product. And the reason I want to have that at some point is because in case people are exposed to nuclear waste, like one of my focuses has always been nuclear waste, radioactivity. This formula with Clean Slate, for example, one of the targets is to get rid of anything that's radioactive or nuclear waste or anything people are exposed to. So an IV formula would need to be made if you needed to do it like that, if someone was exposed to a nuclear bomb or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
So originally my patents, the other people, my name's on them, and they are approved, but another company took it, but it was around getting rid of nuclear waste all the way up to the stratosphere, land, air, and water, and in people. Because I unfortunately believe this is still a threat. I unfortunately believe that it's still being used in different ways. You can take a pill that has nuclear waste or radioactivity inside of it. And so I worry about that a lot. Yeah.
Yes, and I mean in Europe it's a war again, so
Well, we
yes.
know that people are exposed to it. Even like if you look at Chernobyl, outside of Chernobyl, if there's a leak or anything, people are still exposed to it all over the country.
Yes, we are. Yes.
And I'm sure you know this, but your air and the way it carries radioactivity and your water is just...
Yeah, everything is connected.
I know.
Everything is connected.
I know. And I don't want us to live in fear. I want us to feel good about it, but we also need to be educated and accept what's going on.
Yeah, we have to really know what's going on.
Because they're not going to tell us exactly what's going on.
No.
No.
No, they don't. They make money.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. In a time, they helped us. So we don't longer suffered from starvation. But unfortunately, many studies show that the very industries that helped us prosper are now the ones causing our polluted air, soil, water, and food.
Yep.
How do we, as citizens of the earth, get out of this cycle of poisoning?
I think that you have to understand that even organic food can be toxic. I've told this story before. I was in Malaysia and I ate some food that was out of the water that was a sewage. And I saw it was a sewage. People were using the bathroom. The bathrooms all had holes in them that went to the water. They were catching the fish. We were on the restaurant.
Oh, wow.
Trash was everywhere. It was sewage and we were eating it. I got very sick. I did not want to eat, but they were like, please eat the food. And so I tried it.
To be polite.
But I shouldn't have. And it really hit home when I did that. This is organic fish. They kept saying this is organic fish. You're right, it is, but it had things that I don't need to put in my body, right? When the land, air, and water is toxic and has heavy metals, then your food has it. So even when I use a lot of roots, I use a lot of oils, I use a lot of plants in what I make, obviously, because it's natural. But I have to source it and test it, and then sometimes when it's tested, it's not good, so we have to clean it, right? We're not going to stop eating. We all eat. My stomach says I'm hungry, so I'm going to have to eat something at some point. If you eat an egg from a chicken, for example, and the chicken eats grass that has GMO, well, how much of that do you put into your body? One of the reasons I think the root products are so important is everyone thinks Clean Slate's the only product that is detoxing, cleaning, eradicating. I don't even like to really use the word detox. I think it's eradicating things, getting rid of the bad things, holding on to the good things.
Oh, yes.
So the Relive Greens, the Restore, even the Zero In, they all have the eradication properties in there. They grab hold of the things the body doesn't need and help you eliminate them in a safe way. That was very important to me.
Safe way. Can you explain this way?
So here's the problem with why a lot of countries don't like the word detox. Here's the problem with a lot of detox protocols. If you're detoxing the organs, because your organs, like your liver, your kidneys, your bladder, are made to eliminate things from the body naturally. The issue is when there's so much pollution, when there's so much negative, bad energy, energetically, heavy metals, things that are in your body, it gets clogged. It's like a sewage system, in the house, and it won't eliminate things as fast, as quick, and as easily. And then it can stop working, actually, if your body's not healthy. So I created a series of products. We have 2 more coming out called Give Me Back My Youth, which is collagen and colostrum. It's a completely different conversation. Extremely good product, very hard to make. Mitochondria shield support with NAD and quercetin, which shield the mitochondria. But if you look at all the product line that's produced right now, it's all really centered on getting these bad things out of the body, eliminating them safely. Here's how it does it. When your body has cells, they talk, right? They communicate.
Yes, yes.
So if you send in natural ingredients that are very pure, I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to use curcumin as an example. Turmeric curcumin, I hope that didn't sound rude. I didn't mean I don't know if you know this. I meant just
No.
like, oh, it's okay,
No,
good. No,
you're not rude.
So the properties
Yeah.
actually have pathways
Yeah.
that they communicate
Yes.
with. So turmeric curcumin, for example, your NRF2 pathways, which help you eliminate and heal and anti-age with the telomeres. Turmeric curcumin is known to be, and so is resveratrol, so is black cumin seed, to really communicate with those pathways to help those things happen, because they're alive. Like, I wish I could tell people that your ingredients, your pure things that were put on this earth, they're alive. We all share DNA, right? Yes. There's these beautiful things like a zeolite, a silicon dioxide is a crystal, a salt, a crystal. I mean, they're categorized, but they talk. They don't just, we know that water can talk, right?
Yes.
So they're alive. So when people put things in their body that are really meant to get rid of things that aren't well, to help your body, right? They're here for us to help us.
Yes.
If you really do that protocol and you understand it mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you can help your body in a million ways safely, and not through using things that have all these side effects that can end up causing more harm than good. I guess it's like saying, okay, someone went on an acid trip all night and it was fun. The problem is, what are the side effects of that later? And of course, I don't know the answer to that, but my answer to you is, if you took too much acid, right, or too much of something that's not necessarily beneficial at that amount, then it could hurt you. Same thing with things that are good, though. You can put good things in your body that long-term you can use that can help you. And you know, there's spiritual journeys where I know they use like different things that help the spirit. But I'd like for people to know that the protocols with Root, like the things that I've developed, are not just for the body. They are for the spirit. They are for the body to safely eliminate things because of the active ingredients I used in there. And that's what I'll say. Your natural isotopes, your natural ingredients and elements that are within each of the specific things like turmeric, resveratrol, and how I made them, they are for the body to support, provide, protect, and ultimately eliminate what shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And they do that by communicating. And I know that's hard for people to understand, but they are alive, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah. Everything is energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's important, but it's hard to explain. And so you just have to realize, you know, when you take a bite of an apple or an orange, be thankful.
Yeah.
But when you take these products, know that when they were made, they were tested many times to get rid of the things that shouldn't be in there. Because unfortunately now, a lot of your active ingredients also have, just like our bodies have heavy metals, they do too. So you have to clean them. Yeah.
So we have to clean.
You have to clean. It keeps doing it. It's like
sweet. I think it's sweet.
Christina's talking.
Yeah, I'm listening to both of you. I will translate the message in German language from the stomach and from you. Oh, perfect. Yes, I think I didn't study like you. I'm just a person who was really sick, and now I am a healthy person. I'm a self-healer. And I see my son who was diagnosed with autism, and he is shining.
Yeah, he's beautiful. I saw his
Thank
pictures.
you. And he makes such great progress. It's so amazing. I did a lot of protocols with him, but with Clean Slate, it's different. Is it? Why is this so? I know it's in autism. It is a stomach problem. It is a heavy metal problem. It could be also a parasite problem.
Yes.
Why is my son getting so well now?
You know, when I first did the first formula, they sent it off to a lab after I had done the formula. And they saw that the parasites were running away from the cell, which they said they have never seen.
Oh my God.
I know Clayton has those pictures somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with autism, dementia, for example, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all those things, you really have to clean the body, the gut, the cells, everything. And to do that, you energetically in the body, if you send a messenger in that says, look, we've got to clean things out. We want to be the best, brightest light we can be, right? Then it works. And
well, I have to cry.
well,
it works. As a mother, there is nothing more important than to get the children health.
Nothing.
Doesn't
even. Don't make me cry.
Yeah, really.
It doesn't. I mean, nothing touches it. Like, nothing touches it. Yeah. Right.
And you know, I did such a long way with self-healing, with food protocols. And when you have a teenager who wants to live, who wants to eat with the friends and not to make this strong diet, it was such bad for our relationship.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
I said, no, don't eat this, so it's not good for you. And now he's taking clean slate and he can eat whatever he wants now. I mean, his stomach is fine now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is such a release, but because I don't want to be the mother who was after him and no, you should do this bad energy, you know.
Yes, yeah.
Like you should not.
Yeah, because you love
and now
him,
it's
but
just
I
let you go. You take the drops and let you go.
Does he like to take the drops?
Oh, he loves it. He loves it.
Does he know it's helped him?
Yeah, he said it was. I was really skeptical. I'm a really skeptical person.
I am too, just so you know. Yeah, I understand.
I am.
Because people don't know that about me.
I was what is this hype from USA? What is this hype?
This isn't going to help. It's hard because when you try so many things, you're like, no, I mean.
Yeah, and it sounds too good and too crazy at the same time.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
I didn't study this kind of things you studied.
Yeah,
you know?
But you're a mother, and you.
Yeah, I'm a mother.
And there's no textbook.
Yeah, and the motherhood led me to this point. I know Jelena Keller, and I was watching her 1 year, and then after a year, I said, "Okay, Jelena, I have to try it." And she sent it to me, and my turning point was to see my sons. See what changes in his life.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Is he taking the 0 in or just
too. Yeah.
Does he take it in the morning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've had so many great results we actually have a autism center that's throughout the world that's interested in us doing some things with them because they've had good results. And so again, they're not, yes, I made them. I played a part in them. I played a part, right? Mm. But you're playing just as big of a part in a different way. And I wish I could get that across to people because when people say to me, thank you, I immediately say thank you because I wouldn't have touched that person. I wouldn't have helped that person. You know, people like you are literally, I mean, if you really think about it, it's the truth. Do you know what I mean? So I did this piece, and all these other people are doing this part of it, which has led to a lot of improvement, and for children that makes me very happy actually. Yeah.
Yes. But thank you for your strength. I think there was so many points in your life who you could stay on the direction.
Yeah, there were.
Yeah, but you were like, okay, no, I have to question myself.
Oh, I questioned myself a lot. That's so odd that you caught that because there's been so many times that I'm like, this is wrong, Christina. You, this is not what you're supposed to do. And I have to humble myself to myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, wrong. And then I had to learn to forgive myself too for things that I'm like, gosh, maybe I shouldn't have worked on that. Maybe I shouldn't have been a part of that, you know, because I know that I have an energy that helps things move, right? And so it's very important that I focus my energy on the right place. And there's been a lot of days that I just want to lay down in bed and cover, you know, myself and say, I don't want to get up, I don't want to do this, but it's because of the fact that that's not an option for any of us, actually. We're here to...
We choose to be here.
Yeah. We're here for a mission.
Yes.
And each mission is so important, and we have to do that mission. And so I have this one piece, and now you have your piece, and we're all helping people. When there's a movement of darkness, then where's the movement of light?
Yeah.
And if we're scared to do that movement and we just want to live in fear and have everyone else live in fear, then we are not doing what we're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope everyone has courage, because it takes courage.
Yes.
And it takes us failing sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
This failure, to have a yes to fail.
Yeah.
That's so important in this life.
And to forgive ourselves, because when we fail, we're upset, right?
Yeah, our failures are our helpers. And why are we here? Why am I here?
Yeah.
To learn, to
Yes.
grow. And the failures are my helpers.
Yeah.
And when we recognize this, it's not about to be the best in it, or the beautiest, or whatever. It's about finding the truth me, to finding the connection to the divine.
Yes.
To finding the truth that we are all together, we are one.
Yes.
So, and that's for me healing.
Yes.
And so the helpers are the failures.
Yeah, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I have to use that. I will. Another thing that's really, I have one of our business partners, Ted Baker, that works in the company. He's done many successful companies, but this is different for him because, it's health and wellness. And we were traveling in Cyprus, and he told me, he goes, it's not okay just to be fine. Because if you're just fine, you're not doing your mission. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need to
You're
be...
just function.
You're just functioning.
Yeah.
And we're meant to be more than just functioning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for being part of this movement. In this community, we continue to encourage each other and reaching out for what is possible or even impossible. See you next time.